Andy Byron was the billionaire tech CEO everyone admired. A self-made mogul, the head of a $1.3 billion startup, and married to a woman the media called the Queen of Silicon Valley. He had it all, until one night, at a Coldplay concert, everything changed. It wasn't a market crash, it wasn't a hostile takeover, it was a kiss cam, and what happened next would destroy not just his company, but his marriage, his reputation, and everything he built. Stay with us, because what came after the concert might just change how you see the billionaire world forever. The untouchable CEO. Andy Byron was the face of modern tech success. As the founder and CEO of Astronomer, a fast-rising data startup that had just secured a $93 million Series D funding round, he was on top of the world. His lifestyle was as elite as it gets. An $8 million glass-walled mansion in Austin, a car collection worth more than most people's homes, Rolls-Royce Phantom, Ferrari Portofino, Porsche 911 Turbo S, and a custom Tesla Model X Plaid. On his wrist, a $100,000 Patek Philippe Nautilus. On weekends, he sailed off the Florida coast in private yachts. He dined with investors at Michelin-starred restaurants, vacationed in St. Bart's, and mingled at Davos with tech royalty. Every headline celebrated him as a visionary. Every appearance solidified his myth. He had power, influence, and a seemingly perfect wife, Megan Carrigan Byron, a former tech PR executive who had stood by him since his first pitch deck. They were Silicon Valley's golden couple. But behind the power suits and champagne toasts, a storm was brewing, and it would take just one public moment to bring everything crashing down. The concert that changed everything. It was supposed to be a night of music and relaxation. Coldplay was performing at Gillette Stadium, and Andy attended in VIP style, wearing designer threads, seated with none other than Astronomer's chief of HR, Kristen Cabot. On the surface, it seemed innocent, until the kiss cam panned their way. What happened next didn't involve a kiss, but the way Andy leaned in, the way Kristen touched his arm, it told a different story. The crowd roared. The moment replayed on stadium screens, and hundreds of smartphones recorded it. Within hours, it was everywhere. Billionaire CEO caught on kiss cam went viral across TikTok and Twitter, racking up millions of views overnight. Reddit sleuths identified Kristen. Tech blogs confirmed her role, and people began asking the obvious question, where was Andy's wife? Comment, billionaire mistake if you think one moment can erase everything. Because this was only the beginning. The empire before the fall. Before this scandal, Andy Byron was the ultimate tech success story. He didn't inherit money. He built his fortune from the ground up, starting as a CRO at a mid-tier SaaS company, then launching Astronomer to revolutionize data infrastructure. Under his leadership, Astronomer went global. He secured partnerships with Amazon Web Services and Microsoft Azure, and soon, the company became an essential piece of the cloud computing world. After the $93 million funding round, the company was valued at $1.3 billion, and Andy's personal equity alone was worth tens of millions. But Andy wasn't like other CEOs who stayed under the radar. He flaunted his success. Photos of his mansion overlooking the Austin skyline went viral. Car enthusiasts drooled over his fleet of luxury vehicles. He spoke at summits, graced magazine covers, and was touted as the next Elon Musk of data. But none of that mattered once that kiss cam clip hit the internet. Because the fallout wasn't just public, it was personal. The wife who stayed silent until she didn't. Megan Byron wasn't at the concert. She was at home, likely sipping vintage wine from their private cellar, unaware that her world was about to explode. She found out the same way the public did: text messages, calls, and news alerts. For 48 hours, Megan said nothing. No posts, no interviews, no appearances. And that silence made the story even bigger. Was she blindsided? Would she stand by him? Or was this the beginning of a billionaire divorce war? Behind closed doors, Meghan was making moves, and in Massachusetts, where marital property is split 50-50, those moves were about to cost Andy dearly. The mansion? She could take half. The Aspen vacation home worth $6 million? Also on the table. The cars, the wine, the stocks. Nothing was off limits. But money wasn't the most painful blow. It was the statement she finally released. Graceful, devastating, and filled with undertones of betrayal. Her words suggested this wasn't a one-time mistake. There had been secrets, patterns, and now she was done. Comment: billionaire fallout if you think one decision can destroy a public image, because the boardroom was about to follow Meghan's lead. The boardroom meltdown. Investors weren't laughing. This wasn't just a kiss cam clip. It was now a reputational crisis affecting $1 billion asset. Within 24 hours, Astronomer's board convened an emergency meeting. Major backers like Accel and Salesforce Ventures demanded answers. Could a CEO embroiled in scandal lead a company that sells trust and precision to Fortune 5s? The verdict: no. Andy was placed on leave. Within a week, the board announced his resignation. The press release was sterile. No mention of the concert, just a vague line about maintaining standards. But internally, his glass office was being cleared out. The Mont Blanc pen gifted after the company's first $100 million quarter? Gone. The power he once held had evaporated, and the headlines weren't finished. The past resurfaces. With Andy out, the skeletons came marching in. Ex-employees posted on Twitter, painting him as a manipulative leader who made promises he never kept. Former colleagues accused him of walking away with multi-million-dollar severance packages while staff were laid off. Some claimed stock options promised during early fundraising rounds were never honored. Others suggested Andy had timed his exits perfectly, cashing out right before turbulence hit. Suddenly, tech media started drawing comparisons between Andy Byron and other fallen icons, like Adam Neumann of WeWork. His luxury purchases, Rolexes, Ferraris, Aspen chalets, were no longer badges of success. They were symbols of greed, and now they were being divided in court. The divorce that became a legal battle. Meghan Byron wasn't done. She didn't just file for divorce. She launched a financial audit of all of Andy's holdings. That included private stock sales, shell companies, and offshore accounts. The audit terrified investors, because if anything shady surfaced, Astronomer's brand could be forever tainted. The scandal had gone from a viral moment to a financial war. The cost of a scandal. The numbers were brutal. Andy's stock options, worth tens of millions, were frozen. Meghan, under Massachusetts law, was entitled to 50% of all marital assets. That included the $8 million Austin mansion, the $6 million Aspen chalet, over $250,000 in vintage wines, millions in tech stocks, and a fleet of ultra-luxury cars. Financial experts estimated that she could walk away with up to $70 million, or more, depending on the outcome of the audit. Meanwhile, Andy's reputation was radioactive. Tech events uninvited him. Advisory roles disappeared. Even old friends began to distance themselves. His name no longer appeared in visionary leader articles. Instead, he was a cautionary tale, the final blow. But the final shock came from Meghan. In a calculated legal maneuver, she requested a public deposition, meaning Andy's finances, emails, and even internal messages could be exposed in court. Suddenly, what started as a flirtatious moment on a stadium screen had turned into a high-stakes legal drama. Andy Byron didn't just lose his company. He didn't just lose his wife. He lost control of his money, his story, his legacy. Comment: legacy lost, if you believe no amount of money can protect you from your actions. The lesson: Andy Byron built a $1.3 billion empire. He lived in luxury. He had access to power, wealth, and the respect of Silicon Valley. All of it was destroyed by a single moment. Not in a boardroom, not in a lawsuit, but at a Coldplay concert. It wasn't a business failure. It was a personal one, and it cost him everything. But believe it or not, his fall isn't the most shocking billionaire collapse we've uncovered. Subscribe to the channel and see you on the next video.